what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've been through it, I've heard it, I've seen it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest industry on the planet. You can come from any personality, any background, any history you've had. You can make sales and turn it into an absolutely awesome career. And if you do it right, you can build something amazing like today's guest. He's a plumber. He's a badass. He loves to pet dogs and fix pipes. He's my friend, Mr. Mitch Smedley. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
Just hanging out, looking at your cool podcast studio, feeling a little jealous.
Yeah, got some fun little digs here. This doubles as my office, but yeah, it works.
Well, you can see I'm here we're in the 40-foot camper on, condo on wheels, so I'm still decorating a little bit, but excited to be here with you, man. It's been so fun watching your journey. You're one of the people who I really enjoy seeing the way that you approach the market and just sales in general, because we were talking about it before we jumped on, and you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know about a sales story, but the truth is you do a lot of sales. You do a lot of amazing things, so I want to hear a crazy sales story, bro.
Yeah, so I think probably one of the crazier ones was, part of our process whenever we book a service call is we have a whole process for how we book the call and the questions that we ask the customer and everything else. And then whenever we're getting ready to head to that customer's house, we always call the customer and let them know we're heading their way. And that starts that relationship right off the get-go. We don't do any of the text the customer like a bio or anything else, because a lot of that stuff reads like a bad Bumble ad anyway. It's like, here's your plumber and he likes long walks on the beach and his dog Fido. Like, it's just kind of weird. And so we always call. And so I call the customer and I say, hey, I'm getting ready to head your way. And they're like, we're here, come on. And so I get there. This is actually like in my neighborhood, but I was on the other side of town. So 20-30 minute drive. I get there and their storm door is closed, but their front door is open, and I can see the TV on inside their house and everything. And so I ring the doorbell and nobody comes to the door. I'm like, well, this is weird. Like, I just called them. I know they're home. Their door's open. And so I ring the doorbell again and nobody answers. And I'm like, well, this is kind of odd. Maybe they're out back or something. And so I kind of walk around the side of the house and nothing. And so I ring the doorbell again and nothing. And now I got these weird tingly feelings coming up the back of my neck. I'm like, what's going on? So I open the storm door and kind of holler into the house like, hey, anybody here? And I hear this really like muffled noise. And so I walk in, and just inside the door to the right is my customer, cardiac arrest, unresponsive, on the floor. And yeah, like immediately had to call 911, and the fire department came. And I guess what had happened is he had just within a few weeks prior had open heart surgery, and complications with some medicines or something put him into that state. And so his wife was gone, couldn't get a hold of her. And he was there by himself, called the police, called the fire department. The fire department comes and does their thing. While they're tending to him, I went ahead and fixed the issue they had with their plumbing. And I was done with that before they were done with him. And they were like, what do I owe you? And I'm like, no, we're just going to call this one on the house. It's a pretty minor repair. So that was probably one of the wilder stories. And what's crazy is, we have a on-staff videographer that films a lot of everything that we do. And it's one of the few days that he wasn't with me. And I'm like, man, I wish you were with me, because that would have been YouTube gold.
That is virality in a freaking bottle, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we want to ever have anyone have to walk into that situation. Don't wish that on anybody, but yeesh.
Yeah.
And that's...
And obviously he lived, he's fine. So
that's good. I bet he tells that story often. I died one time and my plumber still picked up all the shit that was wrong. So no big deal. That's why I call Smedley. Those are my guys that take care of you. Exactly. That's wild, man. So what was it that made you, get into sales? And as you built your company, how did you make sure that your sales process was built and then properly trained to your team?
Yeah, so I got into the sales side of things. I've been a plumber since I was 19. There was a 2-year stint where I left the plumbing industry and I sold motorcycles at a motorcycle dealership. And so I learned how to talk to people and everything else. And selling motorcycles is pretty easy because it's something people want to buy. No one's in a bad mood in that place. So it's kind of a different environment. And it's a great putting your toe in the water to sales. Definitely even over like car sales, because some people don't want to buy a new car. They have to. They don't want to. And so on the motorcycle thing, it's a luxury thing. It's a fun toy. So sold motorcycles for a little while, and then I realized like a revenue hole in their dealership, and so I created a finance and insurance department at the dealership, and I put all the packages together for all the financing and all of the wheel and tire packages and everything, and we started bringing brand new revenue stream into the dealership. And then I went back into the plumbing world, and a couple of years later I had the opportunity to do residential service plumbing, which was different than what I had been doing. I had been doing like commercial and residential new construction plumbing. And in new construction plumbing, there is no sales. You just go in and do the work. Well, in service plumbing, there's a lot of sales to it because you've got to communicate all the issues to the customer and you got to present them several options and everything else. And so I really fell in love with that. I fell in love with interacting with the customers. I fell in love with solving their problems and being their solution. And I fell in love with watching the end user get to enjoy the fruits of like my labor, right? And you don't get that on the new construction side of things because you're just working for a company that's working for a general contractor, that's working for a builder, that's working for a tenant that you might not even know who they are yet. And so you never get to see the end user enjoy the product. And so I did residential service plumbing for 8 years at one company, and was kind of their manager at the same time. And so that was a great company to work for. Left that company, went to a different company for about 18 months. That company was horrible to work for, but I got to see the higher pressure side of sales, and then had one other stop before I started our company. But it's really a culmination of all of those different experiences that kind of led me into creating what became our sales process. Like what makes the difference with the customer? How does the customer respond when you present repairs this way versus the way some other companies do it? And so that's led to all the Google reviews that we get and the great Google rating and everything else. So the customers really, really enjoy our sales process.
I really appreciate that. And what I think is super cool about it, and what I want the listener to really take away, is that as you were on your journey, you were learning, what worked here, what didn't work so well over here. And even if it did work, you maybe had to learn, like, am I that kind of sales professional? I'm not
Right.
one of those, like, high pressure, heavy tactics. Like, there are times where you question, you're like, maybe I should be a little more high pressure. But then also you think about it and it's like, that's just not who I am. And I know you're one
Yeah.
of those guys that took all of that, you absorbed it, and you created your own process. And so, what I want the listener to hear is that you may be at a point in your journey where you're like, hey, I've been at a couple of different places. This works, this doesn't work. I'm not getting the response from my leadership that I'm looking for. And maybe they need to be thinking about how they take that next step. And I'll tell them, don't do it yet. Don't jump just yet. You need to have a system and a process in place, because it's not just the sales, it's also the marketing and the acquisition of those new clients. And so I want to touch on that because, again, one of the things that I think you do really, really well is your personal branding, the way that you've built the business branding, and how you really lean in on that authenticity and integrity of like putting the client first. Can you talk a little bit about when you made that jump, how you like focused on being able to have the marketing to go with those sales processes?
Yeah. So as we started our company, it was really about creating a totally different experience for the customer. And so every step of the way, we factored in like, how does this affect the customer experience? And so all the way down to like how we answer the phones, to how we put the notes on the job, to how we process through the job, and the things that we say and when we say them are all factored into giving the customer an amazing experience. And that's twofold. One is that makes it easier to work with that customer, right? A customer that's having a good time with you is more likely to buy, and they're more likely to enjoy your experience and everything else. But the other side of it is it's uncommon in our industry to have that level of an experience. And so that makes the customer turn into an advocate for our company and like a promoter of our company. And so it flows into marketing because now we get tons of word of mouth referrals because we gave the customer an experience like they've never had before with their previous experiences with a plumber.
And does that include petting their doggo?
Oh, of course. Yeah. That's actually a step in our sales process, is acknowledging the pets and learning the pets' names and everything else. So, and we do that before we do any work.
All right, so I want to stop for a second because this is one of those little tips and tricks that people are overlooking in their process. And it's perfect because you're wearing a shirt that says pet dogs, fixed pipes. Oh, fixed pipes, pet dogs. I had it backwards. And you've got this beautiful doggo in a glorious regalia in the background of your thing. And like, I know you. And I'm pretty sure you told me you have like Smedley dog treats.
Yeah, so we've had custom dog treats made that when we're done, we'll hand them out to the customers and take a good photo of them. They've got our logo on them and everything. So we take a photo of the dog taking it out of our hands or whatever the case may be. So in another piece that we do is we always write the customer thank you notes, like a handwritten thank you card after every call. And so, sometimes the guys will even address that to the dog. The plumber will address it instead of, Mr. or Mrs. Smith. They'll say like, "Dear Fido, thanks for letting me take care of your parents' toilet," or whatever the case may be.
I think that's so brilliant. And what I love about it is just the subtlety of genuine connection. This is a theme. I've been recording podcasts all day, but the theme today has been like the majority of sales professionals are missing this one thing, and it's genuine connection with the prospect. They're rushing through the script. They're just trying to get to the sale, and they're skipping those little bitty pieces that make all the difference. And they create there's always a step of the process, but you taking a moment to acknowledge something that's important to them and then remembering that's how you create raving fans. That's how when you call Mr. or Mrs. Smith and you talk about Fido, they're like, well, you know what? Joni up the street was telling me that her shitter's full and she needs somebody to take care of it. I'm gonna get her number for you. Don't worry. I'm gonna have her call you. You gotta watch her little Tasmanian devil. That thing is just rowdy. But it's nice, so she'll put it away. And you're like, yeah, okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yep.
Happy to help. That's beautiful.
And that's
man.
exactly it too, is like we've built all of our branding around loving the dog that's in the customer's home. And so if you can connect with their pets, you're usually doing pretty good.
So do you ever come across crazy cat ladies that are like, no, you can't come in with that nonsense?
Yeah. Yeah. We do get asked like, what do you have against cats? And I'm like, well, cats are just mean. Dogs are inherently nice. Cats are always plotting to kill you. So that's why it's, we could add a third line like fixed pipes, pet dogs, screw cats. Yeah, I
don't know. Flush cats. Nope, that's not good. Yeah. We don't want to do that one. No. We'll work on it. That's maybe a different episode. But no, that's hilarious. Yeah. And I think it's great because I really love the idea that you can lean in on the things that make you happy, that bring you joy, and you will find clients and customers who will relate with that. And I think that's another part of the sales process that you do maybe at kind of an unconscious level at this point, because you've just kind of become this branding and just live by it. And I know it's something that you're very wholehearted. I mean, you've got a podcast and you train people and you've got a whole program about how to implement these things. And so for the folks who, want to learn more about Tradewinds and kind of the stuff that you do to help the small business owners and entrepreneurs in the service business, what's a good way for them to find you and kind of learn how you've developed all these SOPs and everything?
You can find Tradewinds on Facebook, and you can also find it on just the internet. And it's kind of a play on words. You got to think of it like winning in the trades. So it's trade wins, not wins with a D.
We'll make sure we put that in the show notes correctly.
Yeah. Tradewindsconsulting.com, or you can find Tradewinds on Facebook, or just find me on Facebook and you'll see it in all of my stats there as well. But yeah, we've kind of taken this thing wholeheartedly and turned it into, instead of just affecting customers with a great experience in our service area, we're now working with small trades-based businesses all over the nation and helping improve their sales processes so that they are also having a positive impact with their customers in all the, states all over the nation. It's pretty fun, and they're seeing massive results and massive traction that comes from putting very intentional thought into how your customer interaction is going to go.
There's so much to that we could unpack, and maybe we'll come back for another episode in the future where we go really deep on the service side. There's only so much time in the day. You're a very busy guy, so first and foremost, I want to thank you for the time and the opportunity to bring you on and share some content. Before we get out of here, I always like to ask this question, and I'm going to have you go deep with me here because the way that you do this, I think, is, again, at an unconscious level. But I always like to ask because there's new people joining this industry all the time, right? Sales is great because you can come from anywhere, any place. You can step in and start over. My 110-pound Cane Corso is all in my lap trying to hang out right now. The mower guys are out there. But, sorry, distracted. So, sales, new guys in the industry, right? They come in. They're trying to get their start. What one piece of advice would you give them to have success?
That would probably be listen to understand before doing anything else. Like, the more you learn about your customer, the more you learn about their problems and their pain points and how their issues affect them, the better off you're going to be at putting a solution together that they're going to agree with. And so if you can spend more time asking questions and listening instead of asking questions just to steer a conversation or to formulate a response, gather all the information that you can. And once you put all that together, you're going to have a really powerful presentation to give them.
And do you think presentations are an important part of the sales process?
Yeah, it's the presentation is where you start wrapping up like all the things that you've learned. You're reminding them of how much you've listened the whole time. Now you're putting together several, like for us, we always put together several options for them to pick from. And we don't steer them one option or the other. Like, we give them kind of a low, middle, high, and it's like, we're cool with any of these. Like, you want the low one, great, we'll do it. You want the high one, awesome, we'll do it. And if they pick the low one, a lot of guys might be tempted to go, are you sure you don't want to, level up? And we fully support whatever option they pick once we've put them together. And so all of that kind of has to flow through that presentation step.
I love that. And it all goes back to what you said from the get-go, which is serving the people, making sure they're getting what they need and having a great client experience. And one thing I know about you, man, is you do care. You make sure that everyone around you is having a good time, that they're getting what they need. So I want to thank you for taking some time to be here with me today, man. I want to thank you for sharing some of that knowledge. I want to thank you for continuing to build on your brand, fixing pipes, petting dogs, having a good old time. It's been an amazing journey to watch, and I'm so excited to see where you take this thing, especially with the Trade Winds group, because I've seen some pretty badass stuff already, and I know you're just getting started, man.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it. We're having a whole lot of fun.
I love it. Well, hey, if you guys enjoyed this episode, comment, share it, put on a review, tag us on social media. Mitch, what's the best way for them to tag you if they want to share it and put it out there?
Yeah, I'm more active on Facebook than anything else. I do a little bit on Instagram as well. But yeah, you can just find me at Mitch Smedley. I'll be the one with the blue check on Facebook. And yeah, if you want to watch some other of our, like we have a YouTube channel too, that's kind of fun to watch if you really veg out in plumbing stuff. So Facebook is probably the easiest way to find me.
Well, you guys heard the man. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel too. He's got some great content over there, so go check him out. And again, if you enjoyed the show, tag us on social media, share it with your friends. And if you've got a badass sales story, something wild and crazy that you want to tell, I want you to bring it to the show. Go to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your information. We'll get you scheduled, and we can hang out and have a good time, just like me and my boy Mitch did today. Thank you again, brother. You guys know what to do. We'll see you on the next one. Go call those damn leads.